Welcome to the Great Author Show, and I'm your host, Dr. Anthony again here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeart Station. So here we are where we interview great authors from around the country, and we have one today. Let me just give you a few of our sponsors. Our sponsor is UnknownGreatness.com, where you can independent authors from around the country. We have a few events coming up, just so you know if you're in the Chicagoland area. We have events coming up on March 9th at the Lakeshore Hotel, 4900 South Lakeshore Drive. And that's going to go from 2 to 5. That's a network marketing showcase where I have about 8 to 10 business people showcasing their business, giving you the ins and outs of their business in regards to how you can make some extra money. So if you're looking for earning some part-time money, no recruiting, no scams, no schemes, any of that won't be said there. Just the truth and how to actually do it. On March 23rd, we have an author showcase where we have about 8 to 10 authors doing a presentation on their book live there. And you also get about 25 business cards when you walk in the door of other professionals from around the local area and also around the country as well. And then on April 3rd, we'll be doing something else too. So just keep up with us. We got a lot of things going on, a lot of classes going on. We got eight events going on from March to June as far as showcases. We have 8 classes going on from that time as well. So I will be doing a teaching, educating, sharing some stage with a lot of different people, awesome people. So enough of that preliminary. Let's get down to business.
All right, all right.
So today we have here with us Kaya Love. How you doing, Kaya?
Kaya Love in the house. How you all doing today? I am excited. Thank you, Dr. Gant, for inviting me on to the radio show. Yeah. So about this book.
Well, let's talk about it. You are now a published author.
Yes. To God be the glory. Yes, I am a published author.
You know, they say about 95% of the people that want to write a book never do.
Wow, really?
So you're like in a small percentage, about 5% of the people that actually say, I want to write a book, actually write a book and publish it.
Okay. All
so
right.
you are in an elite group.
Okay. All right. Elite group. Okay. I like that. I like that. Okay.
So the name of your book is The Shattered Innocence of Yahya Jackson. But before we get into it.
So it's a way that you say that. Okay.
Okay.
It's the shattered innocence of Yahya Jackson.
Okay. Well, we're going to get more than that. Just
Kaya Love.
She having a good time. We just started. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but before we get started and get into the book, because obviously a lot of times people think when they meet authors or see authors, like you kind of like started at 1 year old and started writing books. So
absolutely not.
Right. So tell us a little about Kaya Love and who she is and all those good things and some of the other things you do.
Well, so I'm Kaya Love, right? So I didn't start off with Kaya Love. So my name is, for those of you who don't know, my name is Rakaya. And so I'm an actress as well, a brand builder, and a new author. But I was thinking of a name, a stage name, and I asked God to help me with this, to give me a stage name. And in my journey of healing after some things, some traumatic things that I went through in my childhood, I lost the power to love. And so in finding my name, in the quest of finding my name, took Kaya out of Rakaya, and God gave me love. So that's how I got the name Kaya Love. So Kaya Love is birth, the name, and the brand. So it's a lot of things behind that name right now. My book is one of them. I have a program that I'm restructuring called Project Beautiful. It's a mentorship program for young ladies, and we help the young ladies to figure out who they are at a young age, so that they can have that self-esteem and that love and build themselves up. So, and also behind Kaya Love, the brand, um, I have a baking business. Many people don't know because I don't advertise it, but the people that usually buy order from me, they know that they can get some good cakes, the bomb cakes from Kaya Love. And the name of that business is called Kaya Sweets and Treats. So yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Kaya Love in a nutshell. And you know what? You talked about being a writer at a young age. No, that didn't happen for me. Um, I wanted to help people, some other young ladies. And I knew that writing this book and being totally transparent and telling my story would help some young ladies, some girls, even men. And so that's where it started. It was in my early 40s. I thought to write a book. I spoke to a dear friend of mine, LA Holtz, and she encouraged me. She encouraged me to get out there and do what you need to do. So from that, we began talking. We began having some discussions. And so the writing began. And so, in the midst of the writing the book, so many different things start coming up, like things that I suppressed, memories that I suppressed that I didn't want to rehash. I didn't want to remember. But in order to write the book, I had to bring those memories back. I had to bring them up. And so, midway through the book, I was getting some deep level healing. There was a lot of different things going on, a lot of different emotions that was coming up during this the writing. So I stopped. I said I can't do it anymore. That's it. I'm done. God, I know you said I was supposed to help somebody, but I'm sorry, I can't do it. You got to find somebody else. I can't do it. And so he said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna show you." So this stuff kept going, and then one day I remember I was sitting in church, minding my own business, had some inside tears going on. People couldn't see it. I did a lot of dressing myself up. Because the truth of it is, I had a lot of pain that I was masking. I was putting on a pretty face and I was hiding the pain because I dealt with a lot as a child. And so the trauma of it started coming up. I was, I was messed up. I was hurting. I was beat up. Um, and it happened the well, the shattered innocence is Yaya, which is the character of the book, but it's actually myself being sexually abused at the age of 7. And so that was hard for me. And being an adult when that came up again. Well, back to when I stopped writing. I'm sorry. Back to when I stopped writing. I can get off track, so you can stop me at any time. Because yeah. But I stopped writing. And I remember sitting in church and a prophet of God stood me up and he said, "Woman of God." And I'm looking around because I just knew he wasn't talking to me, right? So I said, hmm, you know. And so he said, "God said, finish the book." And I just lost it. I said, "God said, finish the book." He said, "It's not about you. God said, finish the book. There's miracles in finishing the book. There's healing in finishing a book. You must finish the book. God called you for a time as this to finish the book. There's some people waiting to hear this story. There's some people waiting to get this book and to read this book." And I remember when he said it, just something dropped on the inside of me like, okay, I got to finish writing the book. And the real of it is, I knew that I had to help somebody, whether it was one person or 100 people. I knew that I had to help somebody. So I said, "Okay, God, I'm going to finish writing the book." And the book was completed within a couple of months. No budget, No, no, but it got done. And it was done through Ports Our People too. And so I'm just very grateful for that company, for LA Holtz, for helping me to get some things completed, to fulfill some dreams that I had. And it was awesome.
That's good. I know that person you talking about. I remember back in the day when she didn't have a book and I was encouraging her, write that book of poetry.
See there? See there?
Years ago, she was saying all that poetry. It's really good. People couldn't remember it. I said, why don't you put it in the book?
And she did.
And eventually she did.
Hmm.
Eventually she did. So then years later, she encourages you
That's
to
right.
do the same thing. So that's an awesome thing.
And you did some encouraging yourself too.
Well, yeah.
I thank you for that too.
I kind of walk around bumping into people encouraging, I
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
guess. But sometimes you see that, and I like the word you use, transparent,
Uh-huh.
right? Because a lot of times people think people like us write books because we don't have anything else to do, or we're just trying to make money. They don't realize that this is like blood, sweat, tears, soul, spirit,
Yes.
heart,
Yes.
all that. Some
Yes.
stuff you've been keeping inside for years.
Yes.
And
Yes.
when you put it in print, now people, they can't look at you differently, right? Because
Mhm.
if they don't understand that you're trying to help people,
Mhm.
because somebody on the planet got to be transparent,
Mhm.
parent, right?
Mhm.
Somebody has to be authentic. Somebody has to be genuine,
Absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
then you put
Mhm.
this in a book and people read the book because unfortunately, Kaya, a lot of us don't go seek help,
Okay.
right? We have problems going on in our lives and we're trying to figure it out. But we just got on earth 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years
Right.
ago,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
And we get bad advice from somebody been here 10, 20 years before us.
Mhm.
And we don't know how to figure this thing called life out because we don't really want to tell the secret at 7
Mhm.
when I'm 27,
Okay. All right.
when I'm 32.
Mhm.
Now I got babies
Mhm.
and they 7 and 8. So when do I tell this secret
That was.
to somebody, right? When do I say I'm still hurting from 7?
Mm.
Even though I
Mm.
have a 7-year old, a 10-year old, a 12-year old, when do I go and go seek this help? So a lot of us are in the church, right?
Mhm.
And prayer works. I'm good with that. Sometimes we need to just sit down and talk to somebody. So when you write a book, I can take the shattered innocence of Yahya Jackson and go in my house, close the door, and get a healing.
And get a healing.
Nobody don't know what happened to me at 7,
That's right.
12, because I'm scared to go. How do I contact a counselor? Which one do I use? But I
Absolutely.
can read the pages and get healed.
Right.
See, that's the awesome part about
That
being
is.
transparent.
That
See,
is.
and somebody looking at it crying, it helped me, it helped, because they figuring out 12 years old in their own life
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
thanking God that you wrote the book.
Absolutely.
And but the first person that really helps is you.
It's me.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Because
It
see, you
is
gonna read this book.
awesome.
See, you just came out with the book, and since I've been author for a few years, I'm letting you know what's about to occur.
Okay.
You gonna revisit the book.
Absolutely.
You've been talking about it and everything for years, and you're gonna go back in there because life gonna hit you again in the side of the head,
Well,
right?
that's I find myself doing it now,
Yeah, and you
reading
like
it over and over.
it's not like you're being arrogant. You're like, this is a good book.
It
I'm
is. It
glad I
is.
wrote it, right? Because it helps
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad you wrote it too, and you transparent. But it's something I want to go over and touch on in the book.
Okay.
You said something like in page 87. Uh, Peace on the park bench.
Peace on the park
Is it
bench.
safe to be in the park anymore or what? I mean, you got peace on the park bench. How that happen? Tell me a little about what you mean by in this chapter
Okay,
here.
so peace on the park bench.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna read a little bit if that's
Okay, that's
okay.
fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
How did I get here? I remember asking myself as I flooded my bundle of clothes, fluffed my bundle of clothes that I had carried in a pillowcase, a flower pillowcase, a baby bag, and a park bench. I'm not sure if it was pride or a quest for peace, but either way, I was safe. My baby didn't know any better. As long as we are together, that's all that mattered. I could no longer stand the thoughts of his peering eyes. I looked I look at that etched and memorized in my mind from my childhood. I wasn't sure if it would make a move on me again, if he would make a move on me again. Speaking of my stepfather. So peace on the park bench. Hmm, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about how that park bench. So I found myself at 18 homeless with my baby, my oldest son, Michael. And that park bench was my peace. Like so many secrets was told right there as I'm speaking to myself on that park bench, talking to my baby, he not understanding what's going on, but I was in a peaceful place. I wasn't being abused anymore. My stepfather couldn't touch me. He couldn't hurt me. And I began having my baby there with me. I began to love again. I began to learn how to love. And that only took place when I had my child, when I had my son. He taught me, my kids taught me how to love because I had to be there for them. And on that park bench, so many tears, so many things came up, so many releases. Like I had to release, and I talked to the bench. You might think I was crazy, or somebody might thought I was crazy, but that's the only piece that I had. I remember marks on that bench, like that was my house. And I walk around and I go to my friends' houses and shower up and clean my baby up. But I would always go back to that bench. And that's where I found my peace, my harmony, my love, my joy. Everything was there at that park bench. And I would visit often, even when I got off that park bench and I got into a home, a place of my own. I visited the park bench because that's where I was able to find some peace. That's where I began to find Jesus. That's when the love started coming back into my heart again, right there at that park bench.
That's powerful.
And it was awesome. And I remember my oldest son is 30 today. He made 30 October 21st. And I asked him probably a little bit after his 30th birthday, I asked him, do he ever remember being homeless? And he told me no. He said, I just remember we was outside a lot. Yeah. We was outside a lot because that's where we lived, outside.
I don't remember being homeless. You just outside.
But God brought me through that time, and that was a hard time. And I was determined to get through every piece of my life. I was determined. I was determined to go on. I was determined to walk forward. I was determined to make it. Even now, today, at 48 years old, I'm still determined for better, for more, to get more, and so that's going to happen. And because of my determination, the shattered innocence of Yahya Jackson was birthed. And because of my determination, my children are who they are today. I am who I am today. I had to fight. And I fought differently from the other people, from the other kids that grew up with me. I fought differently. While they were outside playing and doing their thing and running around, I was at home trying to fight, trying to listen, trying to hear, trying to strategize. Okay, what's going to happen if this man come creeping in my room again? What's going to happen when, and so I would do what I needed to do to quiet myself. And so I just began my journey, my quest for God. All of that started at understand what was going on with me. But I knew that God was there. Or at least I thought that God was there when everything started crumbling. Of course, like we all do, we get angry, we get mad at God and say, "Where are you?" But later on, I knew that God was there. He was protecting me. He was there all along. And so I'm grateful for that.
That's good. What can we get the book? The Shattered Innocent of Yah.
Well, I have them on hand. You can see me at any time. You can email me. You can
What's that email address?
So the email is KayaLove04 it's KAIALOVE04 @gmail.com. Again, that's KAIALOVE04 @gmail.com. Get your book. I mean, I remember you told me, you said that, Dr. Gant, that being a new author, that in your first year, that normally a new author in their first year will sell 100 books, right?
Right.
You remember telling me that?
Right.
So to God be the glory. I am grateful. My book launched January 12th, 2019, which also happens to be my birthday. And I had the lunch party on my birthday. And so far to date, I've sold almost 200 books. And I am blessed. I am grateful. I'm thankful because, I mean, when I had my launch party, it was the snowstorm. The snowstorm hit. It was real bad outside. And when I tell you that whole room was filled, people was coming, still coming, you in the snow, coming and buying books, 5, 6 books at a time. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the people that I have in my life. I'm grateful for the people that follow me on Facebook. My family showed up and they were deep. My family always deep.
Right.
They come in droves.
I know about you.
Yeah. Hey. They come in droves, y'all. You heard me.
I know about that claim.
Yeah. I am blessed. I'm blessed.
I heard you say fight, and I want to touch on page 67.
Okay.
The Fight Club.
Woo, the Fight Club.
Some people like to fight.
Yeah, that would be me.
They wake up in the morning ready to fight, right? So what do you mean by that, the Fight Club? Because I'm looking at the title, The Shattered Innocence of Yah Jackson. I go to page 67 in chapter 10, and I see the Fight Club. So tell me a little bit about that, or tell us a little bit about it for those that's listening and watching too.
Well, I was always on the fence. I had to be. Because of what was going on in the house, I couldn't fight him. My stepfather was a grown man, so I couldn't fight him. But I could fight everybody else.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
So I promise you, I will fight like every day or every other day. I have a fight and I would win. And it was just, and I'm not bragging about it.
Right.
It was just a built up anger. I had to release it. You looked at me
Pookie
wrong.
got hit upside the head because
basically, yeah.
Right.
So if you looked at me wrong, if you did if you look like what, I'm what? I'm quick on it. Like what?
Right.
And so because of, I was always a pretty girl. Always. I'm still a pretty girl. I'm still a pretty girl.
Right.
Yes. But anyway, I was always a pretty girl. And so the girls were jealous. And because I would always get attention. I would get unwanted attention sometimes, but I would get the attention. The guys would always, try to be cool with me I had a lot of guy friends because back then I was a tomboy. I have 5 brothers and I was a tomboy. I mean, I was the only girl. So I fought my brothers. Well, my brothers fought me. So they taught me the business. They taught me how to get down.
Right.
So because I was fighting them, I knew what to do. I knew how to fight. So I would go to school, I mean, grammar school, high school, all that. And I would fight to release because nobody was hearing me. My teachers wasn't hearing me. My parents
Okay,
wasn't
well, let's
hearing.
stop for a minute. So you
Okay.
said your teachers weren't hearing you do or say what? Because we think of somebody that's have a parent, that's a parent, and maybe they're not, or a teacher, and they don't know that the child is, hey, help me, help me. So when you say not hearing you, what do you mean?
So like I was acting out to, I wanted somebody to pull me to the side and be like, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you? Because of course, my stepfather would say, you better not say, you better
No.
not tell anything.
Right.
You better not say, And so I wanted somebody to rescue me. I wanted somebody to pull me out. I wanted somebody to say, hey, what's going on with that girl? Something is not right. And so me acting up, me fighting, all of that, nobody asked those questions. And so I had to fight because that's what I felt. I felt that I had to fight. And so in doing that, in doing the fighting, I would feel like I accomplished something. I released some anger.
Well, you got a victory. I mean, because
Absolutely.
I'm losing at home all day long. So
Absolutely.
I step out the house, put one in the win column for me.
Absolutely.
Whether it be somebody across the street or at school, I need a win.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
because I'm not getting it when I go back to Main Street on my house.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's look at this somewhat, because now we're not 8, we're not 18, we're not 12. So how can we? Oh, I'm gonna ask you. Do you see this? Because at one time you did some teaching too, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
So-
I had your kids
That's
in my
right,
class
that's
at one
right,
time.
that's right.
Both of them. And wow, how old are they now?
Oh,
Okay. So
20
you don't
what?
want to say their age.
27.
So
Well, 26 and 23. So 27 and 24 come
wow, somebody getting old. It's not
It's
me.
not
But
me.
I remember I see my students now. I taught preschool, I taught kindergarten, and I taught some levels of first and second grade. And when I say some levels, I taught them certain things like reading, sign language, those type of thing, cooking. And I see my students today, they're all grown up. I taught for about 22 years.
Taught a long time.
And excuse me?
I said you taught a long time.
Oh, I thought you said I was old or
No.
something. Don't get beat up, Dr. Gann. But
I know you part of Fight Club. You ain't got okay.
but yeah. And so I see my students today, and they amazed me. I'm like, man, I had something to do with this. I had something to do with their education, with them growing up. And, even though it was a small part, but it was a big part for me, because my thing is I always want to teach. Even now as an adult, I always want to teach. I always want to teach somebody something. And I think that's what made me decide to go ahead and write this book. And in this book, it's an interactive read.
So what do you mean by that? Interactive read, for those that may not know what that means. What do you mean by that?
So I have exercises in the book that you can partake of. You every so chapter. So like every other chapter rather. And it's exercises for you to read and to do. And one particular young lady that read the book, she's a radio host, and she had me on her show. She read the book. She says she read the book in a day and a half. And I wanted the book to be written that way, as the easy read, larger font, so that you're not, killing your eyes trying to read it,
Right.
mainly because I need glasses myself. So when I read other books, I'm straining my eyes. So when she read the book, she told me that it helped her. And that the exercises alone, she said that she did all of the exercises, and the exercises alone helped her. She was able to get healing through the exercises.
Okay, let me ask you this.
And
So, what's one of the exercises that you have in there? It's something about writing a letter or something like that.
yeah, so one of the exercises was to write a letter to, I'm sorry, exercise 366. Exercise 3 is on page 66. And
Okay.
so it says, on a separate sheet of paper, write a letter to a person who you feel never protected you when they should have.
Hmm.
Example, an authority figure, a young sibling, a peer, a parent, or whatever. Um, so, and unforgiveness that, and you dealt with an issue that you have been dealing with, such as unforgiveness, pain, remorse, self-hate, low self-esteem, etc. So in doing that, I wrote a letter. I wasn't going to do this exercise myself, but I decided to do the exercise only because I wanted my readers to believe in me. I wanted my readers to know that I'm not just writing this book for fame or fortune, because I mean, it's a blessing, but I'm not rich off of, and I'm not trying to get rich off of the book. I mean, I would like to,
Yeah. You make it
I
around
would
with me, you
like to,
will.
but the main idea for me was to help somebody.
Right.
And so I had to come completely out of myself and become transparent. Totally. I had to just make sure that they knew that I was doing these exercises also. And so I wrote a letter to my mother and to my father to show them that I'm doing exactly what I asked you to do. I'm not just asking you to do it for me or do it because I'm just writing something in a book. I wanted you to know, my readers to know, that I could do it also.
I like that. See, and that goes back to what we stated earlier, because I tell people I don't write about me, I write from me.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't worry about trying to practice what I preach. I just preach what I practice. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So
Absolutely.
I don't try to come up and say, well, I got to write something and then I got to try to live it. No, I live it and just write it. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So, and that's
Absolutely.
what you did. You wrote you did the same exercise. So someone can say, how do I start this letter? See, because you've
See
done it,
there?
you can say, this is how you start.
This is how you
And
started.
this is what you go through. You might cry a little while you write the
Hmm.
letter. You might
Hmm.
want to act like you
And I
can't remember it.
did. I
That's
did.
right.
I
But see, if you
did.
never wrote the letter yourself, when I say, well, I might want to write a letter too, what do I do? You can't tell me because you never did it.
That's
See?
it.
But because you've done it yourself, I may be in Texas or California or New York, maybe the backwoods of Tennessee,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I have the book
Uh-huh.
and I know how to write that letter, even though I might not ever meet you in person.
Yeah.
That's what's so powerful,
Yeah.
that you done the book and that you can take it to another level
Hmm.
and help a lot of other people. And here's something, I want to go back to this part. So now that you, like I said, we're older than 10. We're not old. We're
Okay.
not old. We're just over
Okay.
10.
All right. All
Okay.
right.
Can you spot this a little bit better in adults as well as children when, okay, not saying something's going on in the house. I'm not saying like that person's being molested. I'm not saying like that. But can you spot it when people may be angry? Because I have this philosophy.
Hmm.
I believe what you can't do at home, you do in public,
Absolutely.
right?
Hmm. Absolutely.
So usually the bully out in the street is usually being bullied at home, right?
Absolutely.
Even though these people are older now, and you kind of attested to that, like I was fighting out in the street because I couldn't win and fight at home,
At home. Right.
right?
Right.
So somebody getting beat up tomorrow.
Right.
I don't know who you're gonna
It's
be.
going
Somebody
down.
getting beat up tomorrow.
Right.
And I
Right.
think even as adults, we have jobs or whatever it may be, and then people coming out at you acting like a fool, right? And you're like,
Hmm.
why does this person act up every day?
Hmm.
At this job that I'm on, I mean, why they acting up at church and acting up like that? You can't
Hmm.
figure it out because you're trying to say, I didn't do nothing to you. I mean, I
Absolutely.
just walked in. Do you
Absolutely.
need your coffee? You trying to give them an excuse, but it's not so much that they need an excuse. It's a reason.
It is. It definitely
They
is a
don't.
reason. And I'm a firm believer that hurt
Oh yeah.
people. And so with that being said, so I have a lot of conversations with men and women.
Mhm.
And so people that have read the book. And I do encourage people when you read the book, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me because I will check my email and I will reply. I I want to talk back to you. So again, that email address is kayalove04 at gmail.com. That's KAIALOVE04 at gmail.com. So
I think something
I'm sorry.
something I think that you might want to consider.
Hmm.
You don't have to do this because I said it, but you may want to consider starting to line up some workshops
Okay. So that is on the
on the
horizon.
horizon. Yeah,
Yes,
so people can
I
come see you and get help because they can identify with you.
absolutely,
So then I
absolutely.
think, and then they can get the book, and then they can practice writing their letter right there in the class,
Right there in the class.
right? And
Yes.
cry and everything. Nobody see
Yes.
them but y'all. Just
Yep.
we're in this
Yep. Yep.
class,
Yep.
and they can go through that. So I like what you have going on here.
Workshops are definitely on
Definitely
the
plan.
way.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's good.
Yes.
That's good to know. That's good
Yep.
to know. So I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
go ahead. What you were saying?
But just the conversation and sometimes, um people God will connect me to people that, you know, that needs to hear my story. So I would talk to them and immediately I'll know like something is going on. Or, I'll talk to a guy and that guy may have read the book and they're dating or married to a woman that has been abused
Mhm.
and sexually abused. And they say that they're always angry. The woman is
Mhm.
always angry. They're always lashing out. They don't they don't trust. They don't believe that what he's doing, he's actually doing because they've been lied to so
And
often,
the innocence has
taken
been shattered.
their innocence has been shattered.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And so the guy always say they blame me like they point the finger at me like I'm the one that hurt them, like I'm the one that abused them. But it's easier to lash out at somebody that's close to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Opposed to lashing out at somebody.
Because you might lose your job.
Exactly. So I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna give you. I don't. She doesn't want to do that. She just needs to be healed.
So,
She needs. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
She needs to be rescued in her thoughts and in her feelings, and that starts. I'm a firm believer that this book will help any woman, any girl, even boy, even men, because I was at a radio show and I was talking about the book, and one of the men that were in the audience, he just started tearing, and he said it happened to him. He was a young boy, and it happened to him.
Mhm.
See, we think it only happens to girls,
Girls, right?
but that's not a fact. It happens to
Boys
boys
too.
too, you know. And so, with that being said, this book will help anybody, male, female, anybody that went through that abuse, it will help them.
Hold on.
I'm a firm believer of that.
That's good. I like what you said. Hurt people, and the opposite of that is true. Heal people.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
See, you got healed of some things. Wrote a book, talked about it,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
reason why people are getting healed because heal people,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
sometimes we've been hurt by so many people. We didn't hurt so many people
Yes.
because I've been hurt, so I'm gonna hurt somebody. And we never think like if I can just find me one healed person,
One healed
I don't
person.
need 100.
Yep.
Because if I can just find me one, because a healed person will heal a person.
Absolutely.
Now I can take the healing, right, that I got,
Mhm.
because it's no different, like you said, when you got love for your son, or he showed you how to love,
Mhm.
and I can relate to that. when I was going through a tough time. Because see, people don't ask you questions, right?
Okay.
You kind of like going through life. You awake, but you kind of like comatose.
Right. Right.
You,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
You going through the motions and everything. You're going to work.
Oh my
You're
goodness. I
doing
got something
stuff,
to.
but you kind of like, I don't even think I'm here. Like I'm not really like here. And I remember one time I'm going through this tough time, going through this separation to a divorce, and don't know what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm like devastated. Then I'm hearing how I'm a bad guy because I'm going through a divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Folks always got
I
something to
always got
say.
something to say, right? And I remember I was washing dishes, and I know my daughter and son, they didn't see me, they playing, and I'm washing dishes because I'm crying.
Mm-hmm.
Normally when they at this time I'm like with them what they playing checkers or whatever they
Uh-huh.
playing
Uh-huh.
back in the day. But this time I said in the middle of the day, let me go wash the dish.
Okay.
I really wanted to go up in my room and go to start crying, but
Right.
I knew
Right.
it looked too obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm washing dishes, and it's enough water so I can use that as an excuse just in case.
Splash a little water on
Right?
the face.
Just in case they catch me, like I can make it seem like it's the
Right. 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 It's the dishwater got up
right.
here.
And,
Right.
right. And I know my children didn't really understand anything, but they came and went after another. Said, Daddy, guess what? What? It's gonna be all right. Now I know they didn't really see me crying because I'm like back turned
Right.
doing my thing,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
they having a good time and they're playing, right? But they just keep
Right.
running back. Dad, it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, now how they know it's gonna be okay? But obviously, I'm hurting.
Right.
Walking around past people all day long.
Yeah.
Nobody pulled me up and said, man, you hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Never said anything to me. So then I can see how people, because see, I'm not just hurt from what's going on now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hurt from something that happened 5 years ago, 10
Right.
years ago,
Right.
8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
12.
Right.
See,
Right.
and all I know how to do is just keep walking through life being cut.
Right.
I don't know how to put a band-aid on. I don't know how to like clean up the cut. I just know how to like, well, my arm kind of dangly. I just won't move it as much. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? My leg kind of hurt. I just drag it a little.
Right.
I just kind of sit a certain way.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I'm in pain, but I sit like this because can't
Right.
really.
Right.
And I think we go through life that way, right? So for
Absolutely.
you writing this book, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that
I
because
believe you.
I'm
Thank
proud
you.
of you
Thank
because
you.
you have poured your heart. And I know how it is going back looking at stuff in your life
Yes.
when you said, didn't I put that in the attic? And now I got to go get it out the attic.
Now I got to get it out the attic.
I got to remember it like it was like yesterday. It's
Yes.
vivid.
Yes.
I can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. I can hear it.
Yeah.
And I thought that I locked that up because I wanted to lock it. I wanted to bury it.
Yes. Yes.
Because see, years ago I said, I'm taking this one to the grave.
Absolutely. Okay.
Nobody gonna know about that one. And then you know what I'm saying. But then you open up and say, I got to help some people.
Absolutely.
So I'm very proud of you.
Because thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just felt the need to transform for a total transformation. And I remember sitting at home maybe 4 years ago, and I said, God, I'm tired. I'm tired of existing. I'm ready to live. And I wanted to live on purpose. I wanted to live intentionally. I wanted my life to be a full life. I wanted to, I didn't want to just hide in a rock, under a rock, and just, be there. I've always been like the life of the party, like, hey, And so and with that, people look at me and people think that Kaya got it all together. No, Kaya don't have it all together. I have to, this smile that you see, I have to put this smile together sometimes.
I got to work on this smile. Like step
absolutely,
one.
absolutely. Because I remember a time, man, I would look in the mirror and I didn't believe what I saw. Like I would look in the mirror and I couldn't do it. I had to shy away from the mirror. Not that what people didn't say. Well, actually, it was what people said. Me being beautiful and pretty. People would tell me all the time, girl, you're beautiful. You got a pretty smile. You got beautiful eyes. I didn't see it. And because I didn't see it, I didn't believe it. Because I've heard all my life from my stepfather, you ugly, you ain't gonna never amount to nothing, you ain't gonna never be nothing, blah, blah, blah. And so I believe that. If you told something so often, you begin to believe it.
Mhm.
And so I believe what he told me. So well past my 30s, into my 40s, I promise you, I kid you not, I couldn't look in the mirror and believe what I saw. So one day it hit me after I told God, I want to live. I'm tired of existing. I was able to look in the mirror and believe what I saw. And hey, I was like, look at this girl. Who is that?
Right.
She's beautiful, and I'm just so grateful for that. And that birthed Create Life, which is a radio show for me. But it started in Likes of a Butterfly. So do I have time to tell the little
But
short?
we got 2 minutes. Can you tell it about 30 seconds or so?
Okay, the caterpillar. So first you have the caterpillar, Create Life. The caterpillar, which is ugly, the form not pleasing to the eye. It represents potential. It's a promise of new life. And then that caterpillar turns into a cocoon, which represents change, growth, changing from one form to another form. And then from that, you have the butterfly, the beautiful butterfly, where that represents endurance, change, hope, life. You're able to spread your wings. And that's how I liken it to my life as a butterfly. That's why I believe I love butterflies. That's why my logo is a butterfly, because that's how I believe my life transformed from a butterfly. First, I was a caterpillar, and then I moved into the cocoon, and then into a beautiful butterfly with spots and line and just all type of beauty.
Mhm.
And so that's where
I
Kaya
like,
Love comes
I
from.
like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, one more time before we close out. What's that email address again so I can get the book? So share that with the audience again.
So the email address is KayaLove04@gmail.com. So that's KAIALOVE04@gmail.com.
Good, good, good. And we're gonna actually see you sometime. I know in the future
Absolutely.
because
The book, The Shattered Innocence of Yahya Jackson, the screen play is being written. It's going to be a movie. And after the movie, we're going to do a play. But the movie will have the real seriousness. So that's happening
that,
right now.
that's
That's
good.
going on right now. It's being written right now.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I am so happy and
Yeah.
proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm honored to have you on the show. I don't take it lightly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I believe that when the purpose of the show is really for authors to get some spotlight.
Okay.
I've been an author a long time, and I know how hard it is to get some
Yeah.
spotlight.
Yeah.
So the show is created for that, and I really appreciate it. I want you all to go out and purchase the book, The Shattered Innocence of Yahya Jackson, and go to the email address that she stated. And the reason being, because we want you to go directly to her. She's
Absolutely.
gonna sign it for you and everything, and you're gonna get a signed autograph copy with your name on it.
Absolutely.
So it's been a pleasure for me. It's been another great show. They're always great when I interview people. See, the shows I do okay by myself, but when I get somebody to interview, it's like awesome. And keep in mind that great authors aren't born, they're made. And I'll see you next time.
All righty.